All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of the Leadership Standard. My name is Buchi Law, and I want to welcome you. Please grab your coffee, grab your water. Let us get started. There's a lot to talk about today, and I'm very excited for today's episode. I hope you are. Looking forward to speaking with you. Let's go. Alrighty. So we will be starting off. We will be starting off. Today we have a lot of exciting news and stories to cover. Um, but let us start with a little bit of extravagance, right? Let us start with a little bit of extravagance. Extravagance is when someone is overly showing wealth and you know material things in the midst of sometimes poverty. In the midst of poverty, they be showing extravagant living a lavish life, especially when it's coming from people that are public servants, people that are spending the money of taxpayers. Then that's where there's a big problem. And this is one story that is very common in Africa, where we see a lot of extravagance from leaders that spend money that they do not have, leaders that go above and beyond and try to outlive an outlandish public property and take what belongs to the many and keep it for the few, you know. So this is one of those things that happened recently, and let's talk about it. Some people say that it was a, but let me show you. Let me actually show you so that we will get into the heart of the matter today. Let us talk about why Nigerians leaders or the Nigerian people that call themselves leaders, why they go above and beyond in ensuring that they make the life of ordinary citizens unbearable. Why do they go above and beyond to make sure that people keep suffering? That people keep suffering. They go above and beyond to ensure that people keep suffering. And that is not what we want as a country. We don't want to currently be living in a situation whereby we are now asking for help and nobody's coming to help us. We want to live in a situation whereby we know that we have what we want because we are right thinking people and we're supposed to have what we want. We're supposed to have what we want. Now this is it. This is the story I'm sharing with you right now. This is the convoy of the president of Nigeria and some of his people. You see the amount of cars.
Jagabanu, go there. Jagabanu, go there.
You can see the amount of cars. The extravagant lifestyle. You know, all of this requires gas. They all require some. It's a very good show of force, but again, this is not exactly what we need currently as a country. We don't need to be spending this amount of money on public servants for their travels and everything. No matter how, I think the government needs to tally, the spending of the government needs to tally with the condition of the people. But I'm not going to linger on this. I'm going to let someone else talk about it. I want someone else to talk about what they think about this, because when you look at what's going on in Nigeria, you see there's a case of poverty, but yet a lot of people are spending beyond their, you know. So let's see what Peter Obi will say about this.
Yesterday we saw, yesterday we saw a video of a very long convoy of Mr. President, and we know that's one of the things you usually preach against. I don't know how you felt when you saw that video. I don't know if you have seen it, sir.
I wasn't opportune to see the video.
It consisted of 124 cars.
I wasn't opportune to see it. You are just telling me. But let me tell you what I've always said. The present Nigeria requires that all those who serve and lead must do so by example. The behavior and their current public conduct must be a consonant with what the society requires today. We cannot continue to preach for the people to sacrifice without sacrificing. We must not, the sacrifice must not start from the leaders. Visibly,
the sacrifice must start from the leaders.
Because the people are suffering.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? It's like the people who are suffering need to see that their leaders care for them. They cannot just be out there showing off power and everything and showing off wealth, which is not commensurate with the lives that the people are living. So that's what I think Peter Obi understands. The message he understands is the message of, listen, people are suffering. You know, Africa is a third world country. People don't have basic needs. They don't have good roads. They don't have light. They don't have water. You know, the life is not as pleasing as it is to some other people in the world. So the leaders cannot be having this exorbitant lifestyle now when people are still suffering. It's, to me, I feel like it's just a, you know, trying to manage your priorities, right? So I think Peter Obi understands it, and this is exactly what he said. Listen.
It's in my mind, which I would like you to talk about. Yesterday we saw a video of a very long convoy of Mr. President, and we know that's one of the things you usually preach against. I don't know how you felt when you saw that video. I don't know if you have seen it, sir.
I wasn't opportune to see the video.
It consisted of 124 cars.
I wasn't opportune to see it. You are just telling me. But let me tell you what I've always said. The present Nigeria requires that all those who serve and lead must do so by example. The behavior and their current public conduct must be a consonant with what the society requires today. We cannot continue to preach for the people to sacrifice without sacrificing. We must not, the sacrifice must not start from the leaders. Visibly, measurably, on all sides, because the people are suffering. And we must now be at the forefront of the suffering. Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go. The people are suffering. So you cannot have people who are suffering and the leaders are showing off. It's not a good sign, because at the end of the day, people are not getting their payments, they're not getting their pensions, but yet we're seeing a large inflow of wealth by the leaders, and it's not commensurate with the lifestyle of the people. So that's where the problem lies. You know, it's just about this. Everybody, as soon as they go into political office, the next thing they just start amassing wealth, and most of the time, most people don't know where this wealth is coming from. You know, political office should not be a place where you are going and amassing wealth that is not traceable, and people are suffering. The wealth has to be commensurate to what's going on. But having said that, I want us to move to another story of what's happening with Nnamdi Kanu, and this is from the symphony. Let's play this
reported feeding health
about the story about what's happening with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case.
The lawyer of the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, who is in the Department of State Services DSS custody, has said that Kanu requires urgent ear surgery to miss his reported feeding health. Michael Zekume made this known at the Abuja Federal High Court during the hearing of the case where Kanu is seeking an order granting him unhindered access to his personal doctor. The senior lawyer also stated that the DSS has repeatedly refused to grant Nnamdi Kanu access to his doctor and has also refused to release medical records of the pro-Biafra agitator, even after medical team confirmed the need for his medical attention. Ozekome stressed that the action of the DSS indicates that it is unwilling to allow his client access to proper medical attention, which is in breach of Section 7 of the Anti-Torture Act. In his reply, the DSS lawyer informed the court that Kanu is being given proper feeding and medical attention while in DSS custody, and therefore urged the court to dismiss Kanu's case. After listening to the submission, the trial judge, Justice Binta Nyako, adjourned the suit to July 20 for judgment. Nnamdi Kanu had in a suit said he would need his doctors to conduct an independent examination to ascertain his actual state of health. Kanu is praying the court for an order granting him leave to apply for judicial review in the form of an order of mandamus compelling the respondents to allow him unhindered access to his medical doctors. He will conduct an independent examination of his present deteriorating health condition as ordered by the Federal High Court, Abuja, on October 21, 2021.
So that's pretty much what's going on.
It is required by the express provisions of Section 7 of the Anti-Torture Act 2017, as well as an order of this Honorable Court granting leave to the applicant to apply for judicial review in the form of an order of mandamus, compelling the respondent to avail the applicant with all his medical records from the 29th day of June 2021 to date. Kanu listed some of the records he would require from the DSS to include his admission records, medical and clinical notes, nursing notes, observation charts and documentation during treatment or stay in hospital, laboratory test results, pharmaceutical records, radiological scans, images and reports, blood transfusion records, physiotherapy and rehabilitative treatment records, clinical findings, as well as diagnosis and treatment prescribed records.
They are wrong and they are wrong. And today, the court has had us asking for an order of mandamus, compelling the SSS to provide his medical records. If you have nothing to hide, what harm does it bring to you to provide Nnamdi Kanu's medical records for us, his lawyers, to say? We're also asking for an order of mandamus that he should be allowed to see his personal physician.
Exactly.
As ordered by this same court on the 21st of October.
Obey your court orders.
2021.
You cannot create a system where you cannot obey
what
court
has he
orders.
asked for? That we halt the federal government.
If you cannot create a system where you cannot obey court orders is a function of a civilized society. A civilized society to function, court orders must be obeyed. If the court orders are not obeyed, the system is not a civilized society. It's a kangaroo society. Law and order is what keeps society together. It's what merges society. It's what makes society function as a unit. So you got to obey your court orders.
How can you be the person, the agency that arrested, forcibly renditioned him back from Kenya to Nigeria? You are the same agency detaining him. You are the same agency that investigated him. You are the same agency prosecuting him. You are the same agency again detaining him. You are the same agency opposing his bail for application. You are the same agency opposing his application to be transferred, at least from your gulag to the Kuje Correctional Center, which is a place meant for people who have been granted bail, as was his case. So they have become not just the judge.
You can see you can see the gameplay. The gameplay is not a very nice gameplay because how are you disobeying court orders severally? So it is becoming very worrisome that we live, like Nigeria is becoming a state where court orders cannot be followed. And it is chosen by person. It's becoming very worrisome. And everybody should be very worried. Be very worried.
And the prosecutor. They are also the arrestor, the detainer, the prosecutor, the investigator, the judge. And you cannot run a country like that. SSS, listen and listen good. Abide by the order of the Court of Appeal made on the 13th of October 2021. Let Nnamdi Kanu go. Release him. Let my people go.
That's the thing. You got to understand that at the end of the day, the Nigerian government has to make a decision. All right, they have to make a decision with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case because they've been violating all their court orders, and it now seems like nobody's paying attention. But the thing is, the effect of that is a lawless society, and there should be freedom of speech, there should be freedom of thought, there should be freedom of expression. Those are enshrined in the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So, and also there should be freedom of the judiciary. The judiciary should have its own powers to function, and the judiciary's functions should be obeyed. Whatever they come up with, whatever decisions they come up with, should be obeyed. So, why are you disobeying your own court's orders? So that's what the DSS needs to answer.
Moses told the Egyptians, "Let my people go." They will not hear. He was with his brother Aaron. Am I right? They will not hear. And Pharaoh, the Egyptian emperor, brought magicians. Anything that Moses conjured, they will conjure to show their power, the power of man. But it was God in action. Go and read Exodus 8:19. The finger of God. When the camp of Moses conjured gnat, little lice in the head, those small insects in the head. When they conjured them, the Pharaoh Egyptian magicians tried to also conjure the same gnat, the same lice. They could not. And that was the smallest of all the feats. They went back to Pharaoh and said, this is the finger of God. Let these people go. But Pharaoh was already deafened. He will not hear of it. When the Israelites were going, God parted the Red Sea for them to go through. And then the Pharaoh army with chariots and charioteers, they came steaming, pursuing the Israelites. And God closed the Red Sea for them, and they drowned. This is a caveat to the federal government. Don't let this Nnamdi Kanu drown us.
Don't let this Nnamdi Kanu matter drown us, so federal government. At the end of the day, the federal government has to make a decision. What exactly do they want from Nnamdi Kanu that they are holding him? Like, what do they want from him? Like, they have to make a decision because, 2 years into the case, and all I'm hearing is court orders being disobeyed, and adjournments and all these things. But at the end of the day, the decision has to be made that the government is disobeying its own court orders. All right, let's move on to another story, and this is about the INEC and what's going on in Nigeria, and how INEC is also violating court orders, not producing documents, not producing witnesses, not producing information that is needed. They are literally violating all their own court orders too. And you see that if you look at the story of Nigeria, you see a story of violation of court orders. People are violating court orders every day. Nobody obeys the court, and the court doesn't have the power of enforcement. So it's like, how do you make laws that you cannot even enforce? How do you pass judgments that are not enforceable? One of the main efforts of the judiciary is the power to enforce its judgments. Because the lawmakers make the laws, the lawyers implement the laws at the courts, but the courts have to enforce its judgment. And the courts in Nigeria, their judgments are not what the paper that it's written in at the end of the day. So let's talk about that. And let's talk about the reason why it's happening like that. The reason why it's happening like that is simply because of the fact that we as a people need to understand that judgment is our sacrosanct to the function of society. Now look at this story. This is a story of 3 months after presidential election. INEC says results upload on IREV incomplete. INEC is saying that the results on the IREV presidential elections should have been concluded since whether it's March or even May, I'm not even maybe March, yeah. Until now, no uploads. They say the uploads are incomplete. This is contrary to the Commission's pledge ahead of the election that results will be uploaded from polling units as soon as voting ended on election day. You see, INEC has confirmed that it was yet to fully upload results of the presidential elections held on February 25th on its results viewing portal IREV. This is contrary to the Commission's pledge that it will be uploaded on the same day. The spokesman for the National Electoral Body, Festus Okoye, disclosed this in an interview with Channels. I was asked how many of the presidential election results have been uploaded on the server. Mr. Okoye said, well, I don't have the figure offhand, but a substantial number of the results are already on the IREV. Speaking further, Mr. Okoye argued that it is impossible to have all the results uploaded on IREV because elections do not hold in some polling units, and areas where elections were disrupted by violence will have no results on the IREV. You cannot fully upload all the results because there are places where elections were not held. Because of some of those polling units, we do not have registered voters. You don't expect results from the IREV from all these polling units where we did not deploy. Secondly, in places where there was violent disruption of elections, you don't expect results from these polling units. It would not be right to expect that the IREV will contain results from 176,000 polling units. Well, as you can see, they understand that the IREV, in 3 months after presidential election, INEC says results upload on IREV incomplete. So I was reading this story from the People's Gazette about how they are now saying that most of the results from the presidential elections are currently incomplete. So what's going to happen? What's going to happen? We're watching. We are looking. We're seeing. We're going to watch and see what happens. At the end of the day, that's all that we can do, right? So let's look at one other story that's going on in Africa as a whole. This is a global Africa problem.
We were beggars. I played a key role as chair of the African Union during the COVID period. We felt like we were beggars when it came to vaccine availability, when we felt we needed access to vaccines, and the Northern Hemisphere countries had bought all the vaccines in the world, and they were hogging them. And they didn't want to release them at the time when we needed them most. And we felt like we were begging. And at times it felt like they would just be droppings from the table, that yes, we will give you that and that. And let me tell you something that generated a lot of resentment. We resented that, and it got worse when we said we want to manufacture our own vaccines. And when we went to the WTO, there was a lot of resistance, enormous resistance. And we kept saying, what is more important, life or profits by your big pharmaceutical companies?
The whites too.
And that too, I must tell you now, generated and deepened that disappointment and resentment on our part, because we felt like life in the Northern Hemisphere is much more important than life in the global South. And these are issues that need to be addressed. And I'm glad that we are all seated here like this, because we've got to get to the heart of these matters and address them. Now, I come to promise.
You see what I'm talking about? At the end of the day, Africa in the global table, when they sit in the global table, we're not giving the respect that we deserve. We're not giving the respect that we deserve because the leaders in Africa are not putting in the work. So when they don't put in the work, globally, they're not giving that respect. We have to be the ones to put in the work. We have to be the ones to stay up, stay late, get some of this work done so that we can develop what's left. And sometimes it requires us to ask serious questions. Why are we the way we are? What is happening? Why is it that there is no peace in Africa? Why is it that there is always conflict in Africa? Why is it that there is always division in Africa? And we need to ask those foundational questions in each section. Then after that, we can solve our problems. If we need to create more states, we create more states. If we need to create more countries, we create more countries. If we need to create more boundaries, we create more boundaries. People be like, humans, you got to create boundaries with yourself. So why then should countries open their boundaries for other people? You see what's going on in France right now? Do you see what's happening in France? France is about to be subsumed. France is about to become another Syria if care is not taken. And if France goes down, the rest of the West is going down with it, because it's going to become a global problem. And people are angry. People are very angry. People are seriously angry. And there's a revolution coming up right now. People are coming out in the streets and destroying properties and killing people and making life unbearable, because there's anger in the land. And leaders need to understand that if you don't listen to what the people want, if you don't do what the people are asking you for, when the revolution comes, the people will come for you first, because they don't care anymore. They don't care anymore. You got to do what the people want. You have to be able to make sure that the people get what they deserve and what they desire, and make life bearable for everybody. That's just what everyone is asking for. And there is a major revolution going on in France right now. And this is one video I saw. I want to play the video so that we can see what's going on in France.
Pour tuer nos petits frères. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. On n'a pas peur. On est des musulmans, alhamdulillah. Si la police nous tue, on a le droit de tuer. C'est écrit dans le Coran. Voilà. Celui qui te tue, tu as le droit de le tuer. Il pourra être pour dents. Pas de justice, pas de paix. C'est terminé pour vous, finito pipo. Vous allez tous descendre au tableau. Police nationale, tout le monde. Tout le monde. C'est pas prêt de s'arrêter. Les gars, on va leur faire pire qu'en 2005. On va pas s'arrêter. En 2005,
So, those are the rioters in France warning the French government that they're coming for them. Whether they like it or not, they're coming for them. The revolution has started in France. The revolution has started in France. It's going to take a while before there will be peace. It's going to take a while before there will be peace. It's going to take a long, long while before there will be peace. And one thing is going to lead to another thing. And it just keeps spreading. But we pray that there will be peace in the lands. And we pray that there will be prosperity. But the leaders of each government must listen to their people. They must. Signing out. This is Buchilo. Thank you for watching The Leadership Standard. Please follow, like, and subscribe. Follow us on our Facebook, our Instagram, and on our YouTube channels, and on Twitter as well. Buchilo.